How do you not sound boring in a conversation? We all have those fears. Someone asks us, "What are your hobbies? What did you do over the weekend? Tell me about yourself." And we freeze. Oh gosh, what do I say? How do I sound interesting? What if they find me boring? What if what I say is boring? And it feels like a test almost, right? It feels like a test of how interesting are we in the world. And the other person's reaction, fascinated, whether they're not fascinated. It's this monumental thing. And it all hangs in the words that come of our mouth, you know? Or what about this? I want you to picture this. You're you're at Starbucks. You're your local coffee shop if you're not a Starbucks person, and you just paid for your drink. You ordered a pumpkin spice latte because it's October now as we're filming this and it's appropriate for the season. And you ordered your drink and you already paid and you're standing around the counter where you wait for your drink and you're waiting to get it. And you're waiting for your order and there's someone else also waiting for their drink order. And you smile at them, you make eye contact, and you say a friendly hello. And before you know it, you're having a friendly conversation with the other person. And you've never met them, you have no idea who they are, and you don't know anything about them. And your heart is even, palpating a little bit because you're a little nervous. But they are fascinated with you. They love your personality and they absolutely want your phone number so they can be friends with you and they can let you know when's the next time their friends are gathering because they want to they want to invite you to meet their friends. That's the picture you want to see, right? And so, how can we guarantee that we sound interesting in a conversation? So, for those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Nicole Jeanne. I am your people skills coach and I help you converse with ease and get more friends. And if you're listening to the podcast, I'm a little under the weather right now. I got a little runny nose. I'm recovering from a cold from my 3-year-old, but that's okay. That's all right. That won't stop me from recording this live stream and this podcast because I come up here every week to give you value and I am a woman of my word. So let's talk about how to not sound boring in a conversation. And I get clients telling me all this all the time. Nicole, I don't have anything interesting to tell. I have a boring life. I have nothing to say when I meet someone new and they ask me what I did over the weekend. And if that's you, if that's what you think about yourself, I want to tell you a story. This is a personal story about myself, and it's one of my favorite memories I have about my mom. And I was probably about 8 years old when this happened. And my mom and I were out in public. I think we were at a mall, a shopping mall or something. And we went to use the restroom. And so she brought me in to the women's restroom. We did our business. We and then washed our hands and we turned around to dry our hands and it was a paper towel dispenser. So it's the little, paper towel dispenser nailed to the wall where there's a lever on the side that you push. And as you push this lever, the paper towel dispenses. It's not an automatic. This was definitely way decades pre-COVID. But you push the little lever, and every time you push the lever, paper towel would come out. And my mom said to me, "Oh, I hate it when these type of paper towel dispensers where you just wash your hands with soap and water. Your hands are clean, but they're wet, and then now you have to touch the dirty paper towel dispenser lever to dry your hands, so you get your hands dirty again." And so she, pushed the lever, got some paper towel out. She dried her hands. She got some for me and dried my hands. And then, holding the paper towel in her hands that's a little damp and wet, she pressed the lever again a few little times to dispense a little bit of paper towel to hang down. And she left it there. And she turned to me and she said, I always leave a little bit of paper towel hanging for the next person so they do not have to touch their clean hands to the dirty lever to dispense the paper towel. So they can just, with their wet, clean hands, they just rip the paper towel, dry their hands. If they need more, they just push the lever with their paper towel in their hands to dispense more paper towel. And that's when I realized my mom turned a bad experience into a positive opportunity. From that, from a little public bathroom paper towel dispenser, of all things, she taught me how to turn any bad experience in your life into an opportunity, into a positive opportunity that you can do that. And she taught me such an important lesson. She taught me that you have complete control over how you choose to react to your experiences. Now, what's the point of the story? What does this have to do with how to not sound boring in a conversation? I could have told you that story in one sentence. I could have said, I love my mom because she taught me so many important things in life, and I am so grateful for her. Okay, but if I said that, my life would seem pretty ordinary because I can guarantee majority of the world would agree and say the same thing about their moms, that they love their mom taught them so many important lessons and they're so grateful for their mom in their life. But instead, I really painted a picture and I brought the story, her personality, my experience, my memory to life. And my story created so much more impact. And now, many of you, and how many people do you think have this specific experience with their mom, involving a paper towel dispenser and learning that you can control your reaction to your experiences? Probably none. Out of 8 billion people on this planet, probably none or very few people have this story of mine. And that's what makes my story unique. That's what makes me unique because no one has my story. And so that brings me to the first point of how to not sound boring in a conversation. And that's, you are not a boring person. You are not a boring person, but you have to believe that you are not a boring person. Because the truth is, no one is boring. Most people think they sound boring in a conversation. And why is that? It's because the root of that fear is that they think they are a boring person. And the truth is, you are not a boring person and you do not have a boring life. You have an amazing, unique life story, and impacted and influenced by your childhood, by your upbringing, your culture, your personal experiences, the knowledge that you've extracted from those personal experiences. Even if you have a sibling that you grew up with in the exact same household, same environment, you still have a unique perspective. And so you and your sibling have completely different experiences and perspectives and different stories. And your story is what makes you different. You know, Even if your life is a typical story like other people, like mine, I love my mom. My mom, I'm so grateful for her. She taught me so many important lessons, but it is unique to you. Your story, your memories, your experiences are unique to you because no one has told your story before and no one can tell your story because it is your story. And so you cannot tell your story wrong because you are the authority on your perspective, on your experiences, on how you experience the world, your world. And, you have an exclusive narrative. And I want you all to stop being such a bully to yourself. Would you ever tell your best friend that they're a boring person or they have a boring life? No, of course you wouldn't. So be your best friend too and stop punishing yourself with this belief that you are a boring person and that you have a boring life. Too many people have phenomenal personalities, but they have nothing to show for it because they are not able to articulate themselves well. And you are way too valuable to allow that to happen. But the root is that you have to believe it. The root of your fear is that you worry deep down that you're not interesting, that you don't have enough value to catch someone's attention, to arouse curiosity in someone. And you're fearful deep down inside that you're not extraordinary, which is all not true. I was on this podcast interview recently, and we talked about introverts. And I would consider myself an introvert. And for those who, in a very short nutshell, introverts are people who need to periodically isolate themselves to recharge their social batteries. That's all it is. And this host, she asked me, what is my superpower as an introvert? And in the past, she's received different answers from different introverts she's interviewed. Some introverts say that I am a great listener. Some introverts say I am a thoughtful person. Some introverts said I love to self reflect and be by myself. So I really take care of myself. And the truth is, being an introvert is only a sliver of your identity. It is only 1% of your identity. And if you're an introvert like me, being an introversion is only 1% of your identity. And if you're not an introvert, if you're an extrovert, if you're an ambivert, that is only 1% of your identity. Because the truth is, you are multifaceted. I always like to say, like the quote in the movie Shrek, you're like an onion. You have layers. Every human being is like an onion, and you have different layers. No one on this planet is identical to you. No one on this planet has the culmination of values, personality traits, goals, dreams, desires, experiences, perspectives that you have. And so the honest truth is that your superpower is you. That is your superpower. And having great people skills allows you to shine to the world the amazing qualities that you know you have deep down inside of you. And like I said, so many people have amazing personalities, but they have nothing to show for it because they lack the skill set to articulate themselves well in a conversation. Which leads me to my second point, and that the number two way that you can not sound boring in a conversation is remembering this. People are not boring, but people say boring things. Let me say that again. People are not boring, but people say boring things. That same podcast interview that I was mentioned earlier, she asked about how to engage in small talk because she just finds it really challenging and difficult to carry a conversation from small talk to deep, meaningful conversations. And she's never really had any luck. And I asked her more questions and delved a little deeper. And she said that, well, from work, on a Friday, a colleague of mine will ask me, what are you doing for the weekend? And I tell them nothing. I'm doing nothing. And I asked her, well, are you really doing nothing? Are you sitting in a chair and staring at the wall? And she said, no, I sleep in. I don't set my alarm and I wake up when I want to and I look forward to it every weekend. Then say that. I told her, then say that. Tell them, don't say nothing. Say, I'm sleeping in tomorrow and it will be amazing. Do you see that? That's what people skills does. It fine tunes the words you say so that you can shine to the world who you are on the inside so that the outside world can see who you really are. It's that fine tuning of the words you say. But when you say that you're doing nothing over the weekend, you are judging yourself that sleeping in is not important and not interesting. and therefore you're not interesting. When in reality, you are excited to sleep in on a Saturday morning. And so, how others perceive you is based on how you perceive yourself. And that's why, before you can learn to say anything in an interesting way, in a captivating way, in an enrapturing way, you need to believe that you are an interesting person. You have to believe, therefore, you can show others what you believe. And so remember, your perception of yourself impacts and affects other people's perception of you. The fear of not making a good impression is so human. Everyone experiences this. Everyone fears this, even going on a date, even going on a job interview. I'm going to give you a real life example. You all know the comedian Chris Rock, very famous celebrity, very famous comedian, very successful in his career. Chris Rock, years ago, was preparing for his HBO special in New Jersey. And to prepare, an expert and successful comedian like him, he went to over 40 small comedy clubs unannounced in New Jersey with a yellow memo notepad and pencil in his hand, and he practiced. He told jokes. He crossed out what didn't work, what didn't land, where people didn't laugh. He fixed the jokes, he fixed the wording, and he did it over 40 times to prepare for his HBO special in New Jersey. Even a successful and articulate comedian like Chris Rock had to prepare to make a good impression. The ability and the skill to summarize your weekend in an enrapturing few sentences, or to paint a story of your favorite childhood memory, that isn't something that you just naturally come up with at spur of the moment, which is a huge myth. That takes skill. It takes skill and practice. And if it's a skill, it is 100% learnable. And if this podcast or this live stream replay has started to open up your brain to, okay, I see it now. I want to learn how to start articulating myself well in conversations, to fine tune the words I say, to refine my people skills so I can show the world who I am on the inside, then you need to watch my last live stream or my last podcast episode. It's called The 4 Golden Rules I Religiously Follow to a T to Socialize Confidently Every Single Day. And, I've been practicing my conversation skills for years. I'm a nurse practitioner for over 5+ years. I initiate conversations with 15 to 20 patients a day. I also go and live stream every week with all of you. I show up on the YouTube, on my Instagram live stream, also record my podcast. I've done this every week for, over a year. I think I've done like 80+ live streams. And just like Chris Rock, I get in my reps. You're seeing, when you hear me, you're like, Nicole articulates yourself so well, or you're watching the live stream replay, like, Nicole, just hold yourself with an air of confidence. You are seeing the result of years and repetitions consistently over time. And you should be so excited. Like, you could be at this point. And you know what? I still mess up. I still mess up. Absolutely. Sometimes I still feel socially awkward. Even, famous celebrity, renowned speaker, best-selling author Chris Rock, or no, Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone, huge internet celebrity, big sales marketer expert, motivational speaker. Even he admitted, I listened to his podcast recently, he admitted he gets nervous meeting people for the first time, introducing, reaching out his hand, shaking hands, like, hey, I'm Grant Cardone. What's your name? How you doing? What do you do? Tell me about yourself. Even he feels awkward. It is incredibly human to feel insecure, to feel doubtful when you're meeting new people. And it will happen that you may goof up on what you say when you talk to someone. And that is a universal thing. That is a human thing. Everyone experiences that, no matter where they are in their life. But it's what you do after you feel that feeling of, I didn't make a good impression. Some people obsessively overanalyze it. Some people think, oh, I could have said something better. I could have said this. I sounded so shy and so nervous. My voice was shaking. I said, a lot. I probably had like a deer in the headlights look. I could have done something so much better. And then those people obsessively ruminate about that, about those thoughts. They think they're such an idiot for making that mistake, and they cannot stop thinking about what an idiot they are for making that mistake. And then that thought, how they feel about their mistake, catastrophizes. It's a domino effect. It catastrophizes every decision moving forward. Every time they get into a new conversation, a new opportunity to have a conversation with someone, they freak out and they worry and they go back to that memory of I screwed up in that conversation. And then other people, they also think, yeah, I could have said something better. I could have said something much more funnier or intelligent or witty or more genuine. And they do that the next time. They don't over ruminate. They listen to what their thoughts are and they judge it differently. And they judge like, okay, I will do that next time. And with every conversation, they walk away thinking, I could have said something better. And then with every conversation, they get 1% better by implementing that. And so remember that your complaints are clues. Your complaints are clues. They are clues to the areas of your life that could use a little work on. That's all it is. That's all it is. And that's what Socially Awkward Bootcamp can do for you. Socially Awkward Bootcamp is my coaching program that will give you the tools to improve your conversation skills by 1% every single day. I even have a 1% journal that is my gift to you as a client that I created that's going to help you get 1% better in your conversations. If you're listening on the podcast, I'm literally holding up an example of the 1% journal that my clients use every single day. And that means that you can guarantee that with every conversation you have, you're actually improving the words you say coming out of your mouth, your conversation skills, the thoughts in your brain about how you think about conversations. And ultimately, you get to enjoy the feeling of someone being fascinated with you, asking you to get your number so they can invite you to their next friends gathering because they are hooked on you, because they want to tell their friends about you. And that's the picture you want to see, right? And so remember that this is the journey of a million opportunities. And if you feel like your voice is broken now, it does not mean you are a broken person. And so that's what Socially Awkward Bootcamp can do for you. And if you're interested, the link is down below in the show notes of this live stream replay or this podcast episode, or you can DM me on Instagram at It's Nicole Jeanne. The link is also in the notes below. And just DM me the word podcast so that I know where you came from. And I would love to give you more information about Socially Awkward Bootcamp and see if it's a great fit for you. And so those are the two ways you can avoid or not sound boring in a conversation. Is that one, you have to believe that you are not a boring person because you aren't. And two, you have to learn to articulate your value in a conversation because people are not boring, but people sometimes do say boring things. And so I hope this episode, this live stream, this podcast episode was helpful. I hope it resonated with you. And I love you all. And I will see you all on the next episode. Bye. Ooh, all right. We are done recording the podcast. Thanks for hanging out with me. I've got my hot water and I'm still a little nasally and sick, but I am here. I am showing up. And to those who are here, thank you so much for coming. I know we had a few people come into the live on Instagram, but it looks like they left. But thanks for coming in and popping in earlier. I don't see anyone on the YouTube live stream and I don't see any questions. So that's okay. That's all right if no one can make it today. If you're watching the replay and you have any comments, questions, pointers you want to point out, just type it in the comments of this YouTube video and I would love to respond and let you know. Or you can just DM me on Instagram on at it's Nicole Jeanne. I'm always in my DMs and I would love to chit chat with you and answer any questions, maybe give you some free coaching as well. All right, everyone, I'm going to log off since I don't see anyone online right now. I will all see you online for my live stream next week or just online on Instagram. Bye.